The massive screens in Earth's Defense Command Center showed hundreds of ships appearing at the edge of the solar system. They looked like silver needles against the black of space, each one bigger than the largest cities on Earth. Admiral James Stone stood with his hands behind his back, watching them with calm eyes. "They're right on time," he said, looking at the digital clock showing 15 o'clock hours Earth Standard Time. The Galactic Empire was nothing if not punctual. The room was quiet except for the soft beeping of computers and the whispers of technicians at their stations. Through the reinforced windows, Stone could see the gleaming towers of New Washington below, their solar panels catching the afternoon sun. "Sir, the Empire's main ship is broadcasting a message," said Officer Pete Rogers from his communication station. "They're requesting to speak with Earth's leaders." Stone nodded. "Put them on the main screen." The largest display lit up with the image of Imperial Admiral Ross. He looked almost human, except for his golden skin and the slight glow in his eyes. His uniform was covered in medals and ribbons, showing his many victories in bringing new worlds into the Empire. "People of Earth," Ross said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "we bring you greetings from the Galactic Empire, ruler of 10,000 worlds. We have come to welcome you into our great family of civilizations." Stone stepped forward. "This is Admiral James Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting you." Ross's smile grew wider. "Excellent. Then you understand the great honor being offered to your world. Our scouts report that you've achieved spaceflight and basic energy weapons. You're ready to join the greater galactic community." "We understand your offer," Stone replied, his voice firm. "And we reject it. Earth and its solar system are closed to the Empire. You have 24 hours to leave our space." The golden-skinned admiral's smile disappeared. He leaned forward, his glowing eyes narrowing. "Perhaps you don't understand. We're not asking. The Empire brings civilization, trade, and protection. No world has ever refused us. Then we'll be the first." Stone pressed a button on his command console, sending a data packet to the Imperial fleet. "These are the boundaries of Earth's space. Cross them, and we will respond with force." Ross laughed, the sound echoing through the command center. "Force? Your entire civilization has barely reached your own moon. Our smallest ship could destroy your largest cities before you could blink." "That would be unwise," Stone said calmly. "Earth is not what your scouts think we are. We've hidden our true capabilities for exactly this moment." The Imperial Admiral's face turned serious. "Are you threatening the Galactic Empire, Admiral Stone?" "No, I'm warning you. Earth has chosen isolation for good reasons. Reasons your empire wouldn't understand." Stone looked directly into Ross's glowing eyes. "We're not primitives playing with rockets. We're guardians keeping dangerous knowledge safe." "Dangerous knowledge?" Ross scoffed. "What could a single world possibly know that would threaten an empire of 10,000? Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Leave our space in 24 hours, and you won't have to find out." "This is not how this works," Ross growled. "No one denies the Empire. No one bans us. We are the greatest power in the known galaxy, and we're asking you politely to leave." Stone replied. "The next time we speak, it won't be so polite." He signaled Officer Rogers to cut the transmission. The screen went dark, leaving the command center in silence. "Sir," Rogers said after a moment, "they're moving their ships closer to Mars." Stone nodded, expecting this. The Empire never took no for an answer. They would push, test Earth's resolve, try to call what they thought was a bluff. "Let them come a little closer," he said quietly. "Sometimes the best lessons are learned the hard way." He looked at the holographic display showing Earth's hidden defenses, systems that had taken decades to build in secret. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive world that had just reached its own moon. They had no idea they were poking a sleeping giant. "Send a message to all Earth defense stations," Stone ordered. "Preparation code Alpha. If they cross the Mars line, we show them exactly why Earth chooses to stand alone." The sun set over New Washington as humanity prepared for its first galactic showdown. Tomorrow, the Empire would learn that some worlds were better left alone. The 24 hours had passed. Admiral Ross watched from his command ship as the Imperial fleet moved past Mars, their engines glowing against the red planet's surface. He smiled, thinking about how quickly Earth would surrender once they saw the Empire's true power. "My lord," his second-in-command reported, "the Earth ships aren't moving to defend their planet. Their weapon systems appear to be offline." "Of course they're not moving," Ross laughed. "They know they can't win. Prepare the display fleet. Let's show them what real power looks like." In Earth's Defense Command Center, Admiral Stone watched the Imperial ships advance. Captain Linda Wells, Earth's chief diplomat, stood beside him, her face calm despite the tension in the room. "They're taking the bait," she said quietly. Stone nodded. "They always do. Pride makes them predictable." He turned to his communications officer. "Send the warning one last time." The message was brief. "Imperial fleet, you have crossed the Mars line. Turn back now." Admiral Ross's reply came quickly. "Prepare to witness the might of the Empire. After today, Earth will understand its place in the galaxy." "Should we show them their place instead?" Linda asked, looking at Stone. The Admiral pressed a button on his command console. "Defense Grid Alpha. Activate." At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Imperial ships continued their advance, their formation perfect, their weapons charged. Then Officer Rogers spoke up, his voice excited. "Sir, the quantum field is forming. All stations report ready." In space, the Empire's ships suddenly stopped. Every alarm on their vessels began to sound at once. Their engines died, their weapons powered down, and their shields flickered out like candles in the wind. "What's happening?" Ross demanded, watching his mighty fleet turn into floating metal boxes. "Report." "My lord, something's wrong," his technology officer said, confused. "Our quantum cores are shifting. The energy, it's like it's being redirected, but that's impossible." On Earth, Stone smiled. "Captain Wells, would you like to explain to our visitors what's happening?" Linda stepped forward as the communication screen showed Ross's panicked face. "Admiral Ross, you're experiencing Earth's quantum redirection field. Simply put, we've changed how physics works in that section of space. Your ships run on quantum energy cores. We've just adjusted them a little." "That's impossible," Ross shouted. "No civilization has that level of technology." "Our scouts." "Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see," Linda continued calmly. "Earth chose isolation because we developed along a different path than the Empire. We learned to bend reality before we reached for the stars." Stone added, "We've only disabled your ships. They'll recover in about an hour. Consider this a practical demonstration of why Earth wishes to remain alone." Ross's golden face had lost its glow. "You could have destroyed us." "We could have," Linda agreed. "But Earth doesn't want war. We just want to be left alone. The Empire built its technology on standard quantum mechanics. We went elsewhere." "The Empire will not accept this," Ross warned, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "The Empire has no choice," Stone replied. "Your ships are helpless. Your weapons useless. And this was just one of our defensive systems. Do you really want to see the others?" In the silence that followed, Linda spoke again. "We're transmitting coordinates for a safe retreat path. Once your ships recover, please use it. Earth's space is forbidden to the Empire. Not because we're weak, but because what we know is too dangerous to share." As the Imperial ships floated powerless in space, their crews watched a strange sight. The Earth, that small blue planet they had come to conquer, glowed with patterns of energy their sensors couldn't understand. It was like watching a giant tell you to stay off its lawn. "Send word to the Imperial Senate," Ross said quietly. Tell them Earth is not what we thought. And its ban might be for our own good." In the Defense Command Center, Stone and Linda watched the Imperial ships slowly recover. "Think they learned their lesson?" she asked. "They're starting to," Stone replied. "But the Empire isn't known for learning quickly. We'll probably have to demonstrate a few more things before they truly understand." The Earth continued its quiet spin through space, its surface hiding powers the Empire was only beginning to comprehend. The Imperial Science Academy was in chaos. For 3 days, the brightest minds in the Empire had been studying the data from the Earth incident. Dr. Marcus Reed watched their confusion from his office in the Quantum Research Center on Earth, thanks to the hidden probes humanity had planted in Imperial space years ago. "They're looking in the wrong direction," he said to himself, making notes on his tablet. "They still think it's about power, not understanding." His office door opened, and Admiral Stone walked in. "How's our friend's investigation going?" Marcus turned his screen to show the Admiral the Imperial scientists' frantic work. "They've sent their best research team. 5 ships, hidden behind Jupiter's moons. They think we can't see them." "And what are they learning?" Stone asked, sitting down in one of the office's comfortable chairs. "Nothing useful," Marcus smiled. "They're trying to detect our quantum field generators. But we don't use generators. They're looking for big machines, power sources, energy readings, things that don't exist." On one of the Imperial research ships, lead scientist Robert Green was getting frustrated. His golden skin had dulled from lack of rest, and his glowing eyes were dim with exhaustion. "It doesn't make sense," he told his team, pointing at their readings. "Their moon has no power stations. Their orbital platforms are primitive. Where is the energy coming from?" "Sir," one of his assistants called out, "I'm detecting something strange in Earth's background radiation. It's like the space around Earth is different somehow." Before they could investigate further, their sensors went dark. All 5 research ships lost power, just like the military fleet had days before. In Marcus's office, Stone watched the scene through their probes. "I see you noticed our visitors. They were getting too close," Marcus explained. "Not to anything important, but they were starting to ask the right questions about space itself, not our technology. And we can't have that." Stone nodded. "Power up the quantum comm. Let's have a chat with them." The screens on the Imperial research ships came to life, showing Marcus's face. The Earth scientist smiled at his Imperial counterparts. "Interesting readings, aren't they?" he asked. "But you're treating our achievements like they're just advanced versions of your technology." "They're not." Robert stepped forward on his ship. "Then what are they?" "We took a different path," Marcus explained. "While the Empire was building bigger engines and stronger weapons, Earth was asking different questions. We didn't try to overpower physics. We learned to walk between its lines." "That's not possible," Robert argued. "The laws of physics are absolute." Marcus laughed softly. "The laws you know are absolute, but did you ever wonder what lies between those laws? In the spaces where quantum mechanics doesn't quite match up with gravity, the places where light sometimes forgets it's supposed to be both a wave and a particle." The Imperial scientists stared in silence. Marcus continued, "Earth found those spaces. We learned to work in them. And we discovered that they're incredibly dangerous if you don't know exactly what you're doing." "Is that why you banned the Empire?" Robert asked, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. "To protect these discoveries. To protect everyone," Marcus corrected. "One wrong calculation, one misplaced decimal, and you could unravel the fabric of space-time itself. We're not being selfish. We're being careful." Stone stepped into view. "Your ships will regain power in 30 minutes. When they do, leave our solar system. You've seen enough to understand that we're not primitive. The next research fleet might see things that can't be unseen." After the transmission ended, Robert looked at his team. "Send everything we learned to the Imperial Senate," he ordered, "and add my personal recommendation. Earth's ban isn't about keeping us out. It's about keeping something in." Back on Earth, Marcus turned to Stone. "They'll be back, you know. The Empire's pride won't let them accept that a single planet has technology they can't understand. Let them come, Stone replied. Each time they do, they'll learn a little more about why some knowledge needs to stay hidden, why Earth stands alone. Outside the window, the afternoon sun cast shadows through buildings that weren't quite solid, across streets that existed in multiple dimensions at once. Earth's true nature remained hidden in plain sight, waiting for the next Imperial fleet to learn its lesson. The Imperial Senate chamber fell silent as Admiral Ross finished his report. 5,000 world's representatives sat in shocked quiet, trying to understand how one planet had humbled the Empire's finest fleet. "This cannot stand," the Imperial speaker declared, his golden skin glowing with anger. "Ready the main battle fleet. All of it." In Earth's Defense Command Center, General Tom Baker watched the massive fleet gathering. 10,000 ships, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The largest military force in known space, all aimed at Earth. "They're really doing it," he said to Admiral Stone. "Sending everything they have." Stone nodded, looking at the holographic display. "Pride makes them predictable. Are the new defense zones ready?" "Just finished mapping them," Baker replied, touching his console. A glowing web appeared around the solar system, stretching far beyond Mars. "We've expanded the quantum fields to cover everything out to Pluto's orbit. Dr. Reed says the calculations are perfect." On the Imperial command ship, the new fleet admiral, Jack Smith, stood proud. Unlike Ross, he didn't underestimate Earth. He had a plan. Multiple attack vectors, he told his commanders. Hit them from all sides. Overwhelm their defenses with sheer numbers. No planet can defend against 10,000 ships at once. The Imperial fleet split into 20 groups, spreading out to attack from different directions. Their weapons charged, shields at maximum power. This time, they thought Earth would fall. "They're starting their attack," Baker reported, watching the Imperial ships move. "Should we wait?" Stone shook his head. "No. Let's show them what a real defense looks like." He pressed his command console. "All stations, execute Defense Plan Omega." In space, something impossible happened. The stars seemed to shift, like ripples in a pond. The Imperial fleet's careful formation suddenly meant nothing as space itself changed around them. "What's happening?" Admiral Smith demanded, watching his ship's positions change without moving. "Sir," his science officer called out, panic in his voice, "the space between our ships, it's stretching. Distance readings make no sense. Ships that were 10 kilometers apart are now showing thousands of kilometers between them." Stone's voice came through their communications. "Admiral Smith, your fleet is now scattered across half a light year of space. Each ship is isolated, alone. Still want to attack." "This is impossible," Smith shouted. "You can't change space itself." "We already did," Baker replied, joining the transmission. "Your ships are all in perfectly safe bubbles of normal space. But between those bubbles, well, let's just say distance doesn't work quite the same way there." In the Imperial fleet, panic spread. Ships tried to move closer together, but the more power they used, the more space seemed to stretch. Their careful battle plan fell apart as each ship found itself fighting just to understand where it was. "That's not all we can do," Stone added calmly. "Dr. Reed, would you like to demonstrate the time dilation effect?" Marcus's voice came over the comm, sounding almost apologetic. "Sorry about this, Admiral Smith. It's just a small demonstration." The Imperial crews watched in horror as their chronometers went wild. Some ships experienced minutes while others lived through hours, all in the same moment of standard time. "Stop this," Smith ordered, his golden skin pale with fear. "How are you doing this?" "We're not doing anything to you," Stone explained. "We're adjusting the space around you. Your ships, your crews, they're all perfectly safe. We're just showing you why Earth's isolation is non-negotiable." Baker added, "The Empire builds mighty ships and powerful weapons. But Earth, We learned to write new rules for space itself. Do you really want to continue this fight? Smith looked at his scattered fleet, his mighty armada reduced to confused, isolated ships. Stand down, he ordered. All ships, power down weapons. Full retreat. A wise choice, Stone said. The space distortions will normalize once you pass Pluto's orbit. Please inform the Imperial Senate that Earth's ban now extends to the entire solar system. No exceptions. As the Imperial fleet struggled to retreat, Baker turned to Stone. Think they finally understand? They understand enough, Stone replied. They know now that Earth isn't hiding advanced weapons. We're hiding knowledge that could break their entire understanding of the universe. Above them, Earth continued its quiet orbit, its true nature still mostly hidden. The Empire had just learned that some powers are best left alone, and some knowledge is too dangerous to share. Professor Anna White stood before the Imperial Senate, her simple Earth uniform standing out among the golden-skinned aliens' elaborate robes. The Great Hall, designed to show the Empire's power, couldn't hide the fear in the senator's glowing eyes. You asked why Earth must remain isolated, she began, her voice calm but firm. Today, I'll tell you. The Imperial speaker leaned forward on his floating platform. After your attacks on our fleets. Defense, Anna corrected him. We never attacked. We simply prevented you from attacking us. There's a difference. She walked to the center of the chamber, where a holographic display activated. It showed Earth, but not as the Empire knew it. This Earth pulsed with strange energies, its very substance seeming to shift between states of reality. 50 years ago, Anna continued, Earth's scientists discovered something in the spaces between quantum states. We call it the void stream. Flows of energy that exist where reality isn't quite solid. The senators murmured among themselves as she spoke. On a raised platform, Dr. Robert Greene, the lead imperial scientist who had tried to study Earth, watched with growing understanding. At first, we thought we'd found a new power source, Anna explained. Instead, we found the universe's building blocks, the code that reality runs on, and we learned to change it. She touched the hologram, and the image zoomed out to show the solar system. But we also found the dangers. One wrong calculation, one mistake. She snapped her fingers, and a quarter of the holographic solar system simply ceased to exist. The senators gasped. That was a simulation, she assured them. But it happened once, for real, in a controlled test. We lost an entire research station. Not destroyed. It simply stopped existing, along with all the physical laws that made it real. The imperial speaker's voice shook slightly. You're saying you can erase reality itself? No, Anna corrected. We're saying reality is more fragile than anyone knew. The Empire built its technology on the laws of physics. Earth found the loopholes in those laws. The places where reality can be rewritten. Dr. Greene stood up. That's why you hide your technology. Why you want isolation. You're not protecting your discoveries from us. We're protecting the galaxy from them, Anna finished. Imagine if these secrets spread. Imagine terrorists who could make whole planets stop existing. Criminals who could rewrite cause and effect. Wars fought with weapons that don't just destroy, but unravel the fabric of space-time. She walked closer to the speaker's platform. Earth's isolation isn't about power or pride. It's about responsibility. We found something too dangerous to share, too dangerous to risk spreading. So we chose to stand guard over it. The chamber was silent as the senators considered her words. Then the imperial speaker asked, How do we know you won't use these powers against the Empire? Because we understand them, Anna replied simply. Anyone who truly understands what we found knows it should never be used as a weapon. We don't want conquest or power. We want to continue our research safely, to understand the universe's deepest secrets without risking its existence. She gestured, and the hologram showed the Earth again, peaceful and blue. Let Earth be forbidden. Mark our solar system as off-limits. Tell your ships to stay away. Not because we're your enemies, but because some knowledge must remain isolated for everyone's safety. Dr. Green stepped down to the chamber floor. She's right, he told his fellow senators. I've seen Earth's power. What they're hiding isn't weapons or technology. It's knowledge that could unmake everything we know. The imperial speaker looked at his fellow senators, seeing the understanding in their eyes. And if we refuse, if we continue to challenge Earth's isolation, then we'll continue to defend ourselves, Anna said quietly, each time with a different demonstration, showing you a new piece of what we're protecting you from. How many demonstrations do you need? As the Senate chamber erupted in discussion, Anna stood quietly, watching the Empire's leaders finally begin to understand. Earth's isolation wasn't a defiance of imperial power. It was a shield protecting the galaxy from truths it wasn't ready to handle. Major John Cooper walked through the halls of the Imperial Science Academy, his footsteps echoing in the unusually quiet building. The Empire's best scientists followed him, their golden faces showing a mix of fear and curiosity. What you're about to see, John said, stopping at a sealed door, is a small, controlled demonstration. Remember, this isn't about showing off. It's about understanding why Earth must remain isolated. Dr. Robert Green, now the head of Imperial Research, nodded. My colleagues are prepared, Major. After Professor White's presentation to the Senate, we need to see the truth for ourselves. The door opened to reveal a simple room with a clear box in the center. Inside the box, a small metal ball floated in midair. Nothing seemed to be holding it up. Basic anti-gravity, one scientist asked, trying to sound unimpressed. The Empire mastered that centuries ago. John smiled. Look closer. What's holding it up? The scientists moved forward, scanning the ball with their instruments. Confusion spread across their faces as their readings made less and less sense. There's nothing, Robert said, checking his scanner again. No energy field, no magnetic force, no quantum suspension. It's like the normal laws of physics just don't apply to that space, John finished. Because they don't. Watch this. He pressed a button on his tablet. The ball split into 2 identical balls, then 4, then 8. But the scientists' instruments still showed only 1 ball's worth of matter. Impossible. A senior physicist whispered, matter cannot be created or destroyed. We're not creating or destroying anything, John explained. We're taking one piece of reality and making it exist in multiple states at once, not like quantum superposition. Actual, visible, multiple existence. He pressed another button. 7 of the balls disappeared, leaving 1. Now, imagine this technology leaking into the galaxy. Imagine criminals using it to rob banks by having the same piece of gold exist in multiple places. Imagine terrorists making bombs that could exist in every major city simultaneously. The scientists stepped back from the box, finally understanding. John continued, but that's just the beginning. Dr. Green, remember how your fleet's sensors couldn't read our defense systems? Robert nodded slowly. Because they didn't exist in normal space. Exactly. Earth learned to step halfway out of normal reality. We can operate in the spaces between spaces, the gaps in existence itself. John's face grew serious. But one wrong calculation, one mistake in the math, and we could create a cascade effect. Reality itself could unravel. He walked to a small table and picked up what looked like a simple drinking glass. This is why Earth must stay isolated. Watch. John held the glass up, then let it fall. Instead of breaking on the floor, it passed through it, as if the floor didn't exist. But only the glass passed through. Everything else remained solid. We can selectively change which parts of reality affect which objects, he explained. Useful technology, right? Now imagine a warship using it to pass through planetary shields. Imagine assassins walking through walls. Imagine the chaos if this knowledge spread. The Imperial scientists watched in silence as John brought the glass back up through the floor, completely unchanged. The Empire's technology is based on manipulating the universe's laws, he said. Earth's discoveries let us rewrite those laws themselves. That's not power that should spread through the galaxy. Robert turned to his fellow scientists. Now you understand why their isolation isn't about defying the Empire. It's about protecting everything we know from knowledge that could destroy it. There's so much we could learn from Earth, a young scientist said longingly. And that's exactly why we have to stay away, Robert replied. Some knowledge isn't just dangerous because of how people might use it. It's dangerous simply because it exists. John nodded approvingly. Earth will continue its research, carefully and safely. We'll keep exploring these discoveries, understanding them better. But we'll do it in isolation, where one mistake can't unravel the whole galaxy. As the scientists filed out of the room, still shaken by what they'd seen, John looked at the simple glass in his hand. Such a small thing, but it represented power that could reshape or destroy everything the Empire had built over thousands of years. Sometimes, he said quietly to himself, the strongest civilizations are the ones wise enough to keep their most powerful discoveries to themselves. The signing ceremony took place in neutral space, halfway between Earth's solar system and the Empire's nearest colony. Admiral James Stone stood on the observation deck of Earth's diplomatic ship, watching the Imperial flagship approach. First time in history, Captain Lindawell said, standing beside him. The Empire agreeing to someone else's terms completely. Stone nodded, his eyes on the massive golden ship. They finally understood we weren't trying to prove we were stronger. We were trying to protect them from themselves. The Imperial Overlord, Michael Gray, arrived with minimal ceremony. His golden skin seemed to shine less brightly than other Imperials, marking him as one of the oldest living beings in the galaxy. His glowing eyes held the wisdom of centuries. Admiral Stone, he said, extending his hand in the Earth gesture of greeting. Your people have taught the Empire something it hasn't learned in 10,000 years, humility. And your Empire, Stone replied, shaking his hand, has taught us that wisdom can overcome pride, even if it takes a few demonstrations. They gathered around a large table. Dr. Marcus Reed and Professor Anna White joined them, along with Major John Cooper. The Imperial side included Dr. Robert Green and Admiral Smith, both now strong supporters of Earth's isolation. The Earth Exclusion Treaty, the Overlord said, looking at the document before them. The first time the Empire has formally recognized another power's right to complete autonomy, and the first time Earth has formally outlined the boundaries of its isolation. Stone added, the whole solar system, clearly marked and labeled. Professor White activated a holographic display showing the warning beacons they would place around the solar system. The warnings will be in every known language, she explained. They'll explain that the zone is forbidden not out of hostility, but for safety. And the Empire will enforce this ban, the Overlord agreed. Any ships approaching Earth's space will be turned back, not just for Earth's protection, but for their own. Dr. Reed spoke up. We've included a provision for emergency situations. If a ship is damaged or in distress, they can send a signal. Earth will dispatch safe transport to help them, under strict containment protocols. Generous, Admiral Smith noted, even after we tried to force our way in. Earth doesn't want enemies, Linda explained. We just want to continue our research safely, without risking the galaxy's stability. The Overlord picked up the ceremonial pen. 10,000 years of empire, and we never imagined we'd find a power that didn't want to be part of our great civilization. Now we understand. Sometimes the greatest power lies in choosing to stand apart. He signed the treaty with a flourish. Stone did the same, their signatures glowing with special ink that couldn't be forged or copied. The beacons will be activated within a day, Major Cooper reported. After that, Earth's space will be officially off-limits to all Imperial traffic. And Earth's discoveries. Dr. Green asked, will you continue to explore these dangerous powers? Carefully. Anna, assured him. In controlled conditions, with multiple safety protocols. There's still so much to learn about the nature of reality itself. The Overlord stood, looking out at the stars. Future generations may not understand this treaty. They'll wonder why the Empire allowed a single world to ban us from its space. Then tell them the truth, Stone suggested. That Earth found something so powerful, so dangerous, that isolation wasn't a choice, it was a responsibility. As the ceremony concluded, the Imperial ship prepared to leave. The Overlord turned to Stone one last time. You could have conquered us, with your power over reality itself. Instead, you chose to protect us from it. The Empire won't forget that lesson. Stone watched the Imperial ship depart, its golden hull gleaming against the black of space. Earth had done something unprecedented. It had banned an empire, not through superior firepower or military might, but through wisdom and responsibility. Back on Earth, life continued as normal. People walked streets that existed in multiple dimensions, used technology that bent reality itself, and lived their lives knowing they were the guardians of knowledge too dangerous to share. And in space, new beacons flashed their warnings to passing ships. Earth space, forbidden zone, for gay safety of all. Some powers were best left isolated, some knowledge best kept secret. Earth had chosen its path, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians of truths too dangerous for the galaxy to know.